We just kicked off October, but good news for the horror fans out there, this episode of new releases does contain the month's first big scary game. Unless you're afraid of orcs, in which case we've got two. For the rest of you, this episode has a heaping helping of anime, robots, and elephants. Let's talk about some of this week's biggest releases. Starting with Middleearth Shadow of War. The first game took the world by storm with its orc fighting action and nemesis system, and those have been cranked up to 11 with the sequel. This time, Talion and Celebrimbor can gather followers from other races in Middle-earth and use their own troops to build strategies against Sauron and his army. And while combat was largely about gaining powers and hacking your enemies to bits before, the sequel gives you way more options for exploring or fighting. Shadow of War comes to PS4, Xbox One, and PC on Tuesday, October 10th. But if you just can't wait a few more days, we've got plenty of side missions and combat for you to check out on GameSpot. Let's move from fantasy worlds to alternate dimensions. A cyberdimension, if you will. Cyberdimension Neptunia, 4 Goddesses Online, sends, 4 goddesses into a virtual beta, where they're tasked with saving the world from an evil demon king. What this means for you is a hack-and-slash RPG with tons of skills to learn and dungeons to explore. And as the name implies, you have 4 characters to swap between to mix and match your powers during combat. Cyberdimension Neptunia comes to Western PS4s on Tuesday the 10th, with a PC release coming next year. Speaking of virtual cyber worlds, you can also strap into your PSVR headset with raw data. The future is run by the Eden Corporation, but a group of elite hackers have discovered that things are not quite as utopian as they seem. Be prepared to take down your enemies with both guns and nanotech powers. Raw data left early access for the Oculus Rift and HTC Vive last week, but it's coming to PSVR on the 10th. And I'm willing to bet that its version of hacking will be way more believable than any of those cop shows.
We'll isolate the node and dump them on the other side of the router.
I'm trying. It's moving too fast.
Oh, this is not good.
Alright, that's enough violence for now. Let's tone things down with the adorable Yono and the Celestial Elephants. This adventure puzzle game focuses on the little pachyderm and his trunk, which can be filled with air, water, and other objects to solve puzzles. The world is occupied by humans, zombies, and robots, and you've got a bunch of towns and dungeons to explore as you learn about the history of the ancient elephants. Now, if that doesn't sound like a Nintendo Switch game, I don't know what does. But it's also coming to PC via Steam on Thursday the 12th. And now we move from the adorable to the terrifying. The Mobius Corporation is still up to no good in The Evil Within 2, but this time it has a hold of protagonist Sebastian's daughter, thought to be long dead. To rescue her, he'll have to use a combination of skills, stealth, and weapons. This time, however, levels are much larger, with multiple ways through and side objectives along the way. Did I mention the game is set in the world of Union, which was formed from his daughter's brain? Yeah. You can dive into the disturbing on PS4, Xbox One, and PC on Friday the 13th. That's pretty fitting. And those are some of the hottest games coming this week. As always, remember that release dates are based on retailer listings and are subject to change. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll be back with more new releases next Sunday.